that's the way it worked out. That's how it happened. So, what else can we do? But no matter what, it is Friday. And if you're confused, so are we. In any case, it's been a long couple of weeks. It's been a long couple of weeks. I apologize. We apologize. Sorry that we were gone without notice. It just kind of dropped to the wayside. But you know what? We're going to have a video and we're going to babble about that. So if you want to hear all about the family drama on her side now, we'll tell you a bunch of shaggy dog stories.
Okay.
But that'll be at the end. Okay, let me pause. Wait, why don't we wrist check and then we'll kick in?
Okay.
All right.
Blair, whatever. But we are going to tell you a story of why, there we go, I am wearing this again. And also, I've just been wearing it because I like it. And yes, I like the strap.
Yeah, I have even for me, I'm saying I've got a good story about this watch. Mm-hmm. I got to wash your strap for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you get to hold for me.
Yes.
Oh, damn it, I'm wearing the wrong one. I have been wearing, and I'm going to make a video about my 6309. This is the rarest of the 6309 regular dials. It is the short text dial. These are non-Suas, but they have the Sua style. Damn it, they have the Sua style loom.
Hang on. There we go.
But they have the Sua style loom, and they're a good looking watch. And having the very clean dial text like that is nice. I am also fooling around with this baby. It was sort of calling my name after Florida, where I had nothing but a 6105. I did this. I cleaned this one up when I came back, but this one's been talking to me. I'm not sure why. 1987 Rolex 000.
Woo, 87.
That's it.
Okay.
The cool thing about that watch, I fixed that watch when we were in the airport.
This is why I wore it, because I wore it last time, and so I had to wear it again because of this story.
It was doing this funky thing for a long time. She was like, "Hey, it's
whoa,
sorry, that's a box of rocks."
Yeah.
Anyway, she over the past 6 months, she was like, "Hey, this thing is gaining all kinds of time," and I'm like, "Okay, that's weird." And I would take it and I would look at it, and the numbers would be beautiful, gorgeous, no problem. So I just this has gone on for like 6-7 months. In fact, it had gone on so long I forgot the problem. But then we're in the airport, we're leaving. That's the only watch she's got. And I'm looking at it and I'm trying to think, and I'm just holding it.
Because it got slow?
Well, no, you said it was gaining time.
Oh, right.
And then I looked down at it as it was running, and the hour and minute hands went, and I'm like, huh.
And we're in the airport, remember?
We're in the airport, and I'm sitting there in the airport. I'm like, okay. So the hour and minute hands freewheeling, you would only see that. Oh, and the sweep hand was too. You would only see that if the escape wheel was broken so it could move around, or it could be that your train bridge is loose. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, train bridge is loose. And I'm like, yeah, that would do it, because it would be clicking up and down, and sometimes it would be awesome, sometimes it wouldn't. I don't have any watch tools with me at all. It's her only watch. Now, she will tell you I have insanely strong thumbnails.
Yeah, like pulls out staples with his...
Yeah, like no problem. Bink, just pop them out. I opened the back of her watch...
With his thumbnails.
With my thumbnails. And then I did see, I ascertained that in fact the bridge was loose. The screws had loosened up in the bridge, and that was what was happening. My diagnosis was right. I very, very carefully tightened down those screws. I really did this with my really sharp corner of my fingernail. And I got them down. I got it snugged. They looked like they'd be okay. I made sure that with the magnification I had with me, that
which was none,
that it was hopefully clean enough, and but then I put the case back on with my thumbnails, and I'd forgotten completely about the whole thing until you just mentioned it.
Really?
Yep.
Well, you started it.
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. But I mean, it's like,
Is that what time it is?
yeah, on the nose.
Whoa!
Well, I mean, not to the second, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Doggy.
So I did a good job on that movement, but you gotta remember, you can't just sort of tentatively seat those screws. You don't want to honk on them, but you gotta seat them more firmly than I did with hers. Hi. So anyway, that was really fun. Yeah, we went to Florida, and it turned out into into a thing. But we'll talk about that, as I said at the end. But we went to Sebastian Beach, much like our son Sebastian, and we found just a ton of these really disturbing rocks washing back and forth in the. Funny thing is, can you see the curly Q in them? Can you see the curly Q?
I can.
Yep, it's right there. Isn't that funny? This would have been a really fine sediment, and it still would have had. You would have had chamber action, but if it got, which you can see here, but if it got hot enough and in the right conditions, you could get these sort of pneumatic vessel. Basically, it got bubbles. And the places where the bubbles could form were inside the remains of the old chamber, probably. And so it's got these weird bore holes and stuff in it, but they're bubbles, literally. So it was like taffy-fied, and then some of the elements in there were and blew up, and then here you go. But we got a ton of them, which I dumped all over the floor. But big and small, they're all equally disturbing and unpleasant looking.
Yeah, they're kind of gross.
Well, yeah, that's because they're organic in nature. Look, there's that shape again, honey. Seen that shape? There's that shape. Really, really, really. Doggy.
I'm having to scratch the dog's butt.
Yeah, but anyway, we got a ton of them. I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do with them. They are kind of disturbing, but I figure we can do something with them. I was gonna make wind chimes, but they're really just unsettling to look at.
Wow.
It's tryptophobia, honey. There's certain things that people don't like seeing. One of them is weird objects that have tons of little holes.
Excellent. So then we can make that and put it in like the tree over there in the front and keep people away. Or we could just put it at the front door.
Look at this horrible thing.
Keep them solicitors away.
See this unholy object. Wow, look at the circle up here. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. The big circle right there? Ain't life neat? Okay, well, let's do it,
Okay. Video on the 7A487,000 from Ryan W8105. Have to ask, what is underlooming? The coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I know. I snuck this question. Are you sure this is this week's questions, not last week's questions?
I don't know.
Interesting question service. World Time London.
Oh, wait, these are from last week.
Those are from last week, but I love talking about underlooming. So, just because I think it's neat, I don't have an underloomed watch out here. The idea being that you have hands on a watch like this, where all that white stuff in the middle is loom, so it glows and you can see it at night. Seiko, especially like Seiko for Japan, made a lot of dress watches in the middle late 60s. And they even make them now where they are not loomed at all. That's kind of a JDM thing. I don't know why. They look great. I love them. I love those. A lot of these like really elegant dress models. Early GSs were that way too. No glow. I can't see them at night. Which for me, it annoys me because I'd like to, one, be able to see it at night, but two, it's like I'm missing out on a whole function. Well, back in the mid to middle later 60s, Seiko put out a model that I call the OG cocktail time. One example is A305-1000. And Seiko underloomed the hands, so they were non-loomed, but on the underneath of it was a pretty heavy layer of loom, and if you charge it up right, it's perfectly legible at night, but you can't see it during the day. It's not there. And I tried it because the old OG cocktail times, it's ancient loom of an earlier type, and it's just dead. It won't do anything. But you use good modern looms, and it looks really cool. I'll insert a picture one of my underloomed watches here. Okay, we've figured out our technology. By the way, I said a while ago that it was the most glorious, beautiful, green, rainy spring I could remember growing up here. It has since then been the most beautiful, green, and rainy, and life-filled summer that I can remember. So you're going to hear lightning and...
You're going to hear lightning and
Yeah,
see
oh.
thunder.
Well, you know, if they stayed in Colorado for any length of time, maybe that'll come about. But no, you're gonna hear thunder and probably cars driving by. And
Yeah, because we want the door open, and sorry if it's annoying. It's not like our neighbor is busy cutting his, whatever, making his swords or whatever the hell he does.
oh, he was doing that earlier.
Yes.
Or like when I lived down in the Mission before it was gentrified, boy. Oh no, Saturday morning started loud and early.
Really?
Oh my God.
Okay. I guess I'll read a question.
Yeah, read a question.
I think this went to the last mail call. I don't know.
It did?
I don't freaking know. Because you wrote mail call.
Oh no, this is the video they were commenting on. There we go. We were talking mail call 195.
Okay. I thought this was 195.
No, I don't believe so. This one is 196.
Oh, okay. That's why I was confused. From Ivan Mejia. Mejia. Right, I said it right.
Right, of course. But he's saying how you guys pronounce it right, so that no worries.
I didn't even start. I said.
Yeah, you can read the rest of it.
Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. By the way, Spencer, you always pronounce my last name correctly.
Thank you.
Just had my SKX 781 Monster First Gen serviced with the 7S26A movement. I agree in that the A variant is more robust than the B or C variants. Question for mail call. A lot of people simply swap out a 7S26 movement when a service is needed for an SKX 007 or a Monster First Gen. For nostalgia reasons, I like to keep the movements original and have them serviced, and more so now that my movement is a 7S26A version, a movement I'd like to maintain. An NOS whole movement swap seems a bit cold, IMO. What are your thoughts on swapping in an NOS movement versus servicing them on these models?
It's something I think about a lot. Because you're exactly right. You can get a an NH35, NH36, which is the 4R movement. You can get them from parts houses for like $80 or less. I mean, that's way cheaper than a servicing. It is a C model.
Wait, what's the difference?
Hang on just one second. There were 3 versions of the 7S, A, B, and C. A was, I don't know, there's just something about it. They were the most closely related to the 7000 series before. 7000 series before was fantastic. They were great. They're still great. What they did is the A still had the original 7000 style balance with the fixed stud, where the stud's actually in the arm for it, and it's screwed in place. It can't move around, which I really like. But then they moved to the B to correct some issues, and they moved to the new balance. But there were some other issues that they also didn't fix, so they fixed them in the C. So the ones you can get today are C's. And, God, you're going to save a lot of money, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can just buy a replacement movement. I guess, what does it matter? That the watch is on your wrist and then it runs? Do you have practical considerations? Or do you want to keep it stock? I'm a big believer in keeping one of these things with their A movements. I'm a big believer in keeping watches together with that. A watch isn't just the case. The watch is the watch and the movement, and that it's all original. But replacing a movement, if you're not concerned about that stuff, sure, that's easy. Any NOS A movements that are around today will absolutely have to be serviced 100%. Even if they never went into a watch, all the lubrications are long gone. But I tell you, you do that, whew, you have a good watch. What's up? Did you want to share it with yourself, or is this cool?
What? I can't have you...
You can do whatever you want, man.
This is fine.
Good. I just want to make sure you're comfy.
Okay. Machinist Mike the Tinkerer 4827. Oh, the irony. Quartz movements. I'm working on an old 7 and 3/9C quartz, and it's too far gone with worn plastic wheels, etc. My question is, I can't find a replacement with 6 o'clock date wheel. Do I have to swap out the new date wheel with the old?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. That's a real standard practice. Yeah, you just pull the date wheel on the one and drop it in on the other, and then you're good to go. That's pretty much the way it goes. Interesting. I can't remember the last time I heard of a latter day quartz movement, sacred quartz movement, wearing out because they're unstressed trains. I don't know. That's wild, but good on you for doing it.
Hang on.
Well, okay. We got the tech part of this thing figured out.
I'm on my phone again.
Hooray.
From Jeffrey.
Wait, did I answer the question?
Frig, I don't know. Oh, no, you didn't.
Aha.
Oh. Okay, so do you remember the question?
Nope.
Okay, he can't find a replacement with 6 o'clock date wheel.
Oh, yeah. No, I answered that one.
Do I have to swap out the new date wheel with the old?
I answered that one.
Okay.
Sorry, it's been a little bit. So I guess move on to the next question.
Okay. Jeffrey Alba Randall Riviera 9750. I am your top fan from Cebu, Philippines, sir. Spencer, please take some of your mustache and beard.
Off, I guess.
Or
I don't know. Is he saying that it's too much? Should I go back to shave? I'm not going back to shave, my friend.
I have nightmares. Shaves. Like, why did you do that?
All the decades of being beardless wasted, all because I made an assumption on the amount of body hair I had when I was like 15. It's still in my head. I never thought I could grow a beard. No, man, I'm not going to get rid of this. This is me, baby.
Tony Monero 88. Dear Spencer and Sabrina, I hope you and the kids are doing great.
Especially now that we're back from Florida. Hey, there's a Miata.
Yeah, there's me.
Listen to it. You see, it's got that kind of blarty, gaseous noise to the tone of the thing. MGs kind of sound like that too.
Okay, we have lots of Miatas driving around.
It's because they're original boomer buyers who were, dads in like the year 2000, are mostly passing them on.
Okay. I have been enjoying your videos of Spencer servicing quartz Seiko chronographs.
Thank you.
Oh, hang on. I am currently going through a quartz revival in my collection and am wearing watches I wore as a kid that I still own. Oh, the nostalgia. I am currently transplanting a Timex M905 quartz movement from an eBay purchase to an Expedition camper from 1997. I am able to do this without issue. However, I want to put the date wheel from my current Expedition onto the donor movement. They are different colored date wheels. Is there any advice that you can offer to ensure I attempt this properly? My main concern is placing the gears in the correct place. Thank you both so much.
Well, you're welcome. I'm not familiar with that movement, like, at all. So anything I'm saying here is just from,
Assumptions?
Well,
Based
no,
on
not
other
assumptions.
Based on other things that you've seen that are
Sure,
similar.
yeah, it's like at a certain point a watch is a watch, but there's so much I don't know, like, at all. Have you Googled, or as they used to say in the old days, Yahoo'd? No, nobody said that. Have you looked up for the servicing manual? It must exist, even a tech sheet. Doing just the date wheel change shouldn't be that hard. The biggest issues are your manual dexterity. Seriously, the biggest challenges are, for depending on your level of experience, is just literally doing the physical manipulation to be able to take everything apart and put it back together without losing anything. That's the biggest challenge. It shouldn't be hard. I would look online to see if there's a manual or if somehow somebody else had done that same thing. I don't know. Tell me what you find. Come back and make another comment, and we'll see how that goes.
From Connor Whitworth 5182. about this Seiko Sports reissue. Even comes complete with a funky retro Seiko 5 box. Reason for some quiet optimism, encouraging. Should sell very well within the Seiko community and send out a strong message to Seiko.
It's true.
They listen to you. Someone watches your videos.
I want to put in a picture of the watch so that everybody can understand. Give me a sec. So they did a really good job. Somebody did a really good job. Somebody was looking at the stuff. The one thing that confuses me is it says the bracelet it shows it on is like what I call a bar type. It's basically long, thin stacks of something. Tick, 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 tick. And it shows it with a thin bar type bracelet, which I don't remember them coming on. Not that I know all this stuff. That's early JDM stuff. I thought they came on razors and similar. But it looks good on that, and I want to find a picture of the original on that bracelet because I have that watch head with no bracelet, and I think that'd be pretty cool. But anyway, depending on price point, I actually might like to see one because they really look like they tried to do it correctly. Maybe they're testing the waters.
Maybe.
Wait, why would they be testing the waters? They have a 6105. They know what they look like. I'm sure they have a few around.
They're saying if they can make money off of it.
You know how they make money? By making a reissue of the 6105. They can do it. They can do it. They have all the tooling. They have everything. There's no reason for them to not do it. Literally, they could make it absolutely 100% perfect. Because like the 4S15 is a recreation of the 5200 movement, I believe, 5146. Any case, but it's dead nuts exact. You can swap the parts back and forth. They just got the tooling out, ran it up, and boom, they could start doing it tomorrow. They just don't want to. Seriously.
Okay, Ryan Walters. Hey guys, I should have clarified the Dynie case design that I am wrestling with to put a battery in is the 5010 design that has no battery hatch. I'm fairly sure that they are similar to the Seiko Monaco design,
Exactly
where
the
you
same.
have to remove the dial and movement as in a unit in order to access the battery. That's really stupid.
Oh, it's actually not a bad design.
Well, no, but I'm like, I'm some idiot, and my watch dies, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need a new battery, and then I have to go have someone put it in for me.
Well, and truthfully told, I mean, firstly, Ryan asked this question 3 weeks ago, and I have sat in a sandwich bagel shop with Ryan face to face, and we talked about this. But yes, you are correct. It is that Monaco style clamshell where you have a solid case back, and the movement fits in, the dial is on top of the case back, the movement fits in, and it snacks into place, and then you've got a Viton rubber gasket and a single piece crystal, and it makes this little sandwich, but they're incredibly good design. It's crazy. You'd think it'd be terrible with that, you've got all that space around that gasket for water to get in, but I tell you, unless the crystal is cracked, those cases keep their movements looking sharp. They look nice. So yeah, it's just what you said. And you can reuse those gaskets. They're Viton, which means you can just rinse them in alcohol, and let it dry, and then put it back together, and you'll be good to go.
That's about one of the most common questions we get.
It is, but it's a good question. It's a good question. So anyway, thank you to the lovely and talented Ryan Walters. And I will, I'm sure we will, thanks again for taking time out with me. It was nice to get a break from, being in the situation we were in. Which it wasn't terrible, but we'll talk about it at the end.
Roadgent7921. Hi Spencer, question for you. Is there anything better than a serviced and trimmed 7548 on an immaculate Z199 bracelet?
It's a hard thing to. I mean, I've owned a lot of them. The only one I own now is I own the 7000C, which is orange dial with gold Hansen gold and black insert. The Z199 is just a beautiful bracelet, something else that Seiko refuses to remake. I just think they hate their customers. I think the whole thing is an exercise in just trolling people. The whole thing. It's some kind of obscure revenge or
About what?
culturally produced joke that I simply don't get. The world's a confusing place.
Yeah. Anyway, this question's from the 61380020.
Okay, great. Tokizara, it's for sale on the website.
Hang on, I'm yawning. Ugh, okay. I hope you cut that me yawning part out. Nestor5611. Hi, I've bought Seiko 7002 7000 with Lost Croon, and now I'm trying to find the same. Can I ask you for help with measuring the size of this one?
Yeah, it's
Wait, what's that have to do with the 6138?
No, it was a question on that video. The gentleman just happened to ask his question there. I read every single comment that goes up there. So even if you get a comment on the wrong, it doesn't matter. I read it. Those crowns are not hard to find. You can find them online. You just look up 7002 crown. They were a single piece unit, crown and the stem. And you can get them brand new. It's not the SKX ones. It has to be specific for the 7002s, because the 7Ss have a different setup.
The video about the 60198019.
Oh yeah, that was yep, I know the one.
From,
That was John Lewandowski's watch. Which is weird. I was just thinking yesterday or the day before about being on a video and saying John Lewandowski. I have no idea why.
Because you're working on that guitar?
That's true. I am working on the guitar. We're going to redo the body, like hippie style. But that guitar was a gift from John Lewandowski to Sabrina.
Anywho, so, okay, this person is user FCNMU3PL9Z. Hello, I have the same watch and I would like to know what is the manufacturing period, please. Have a nice day.
Yeah, so this is the 6109. I don't know why they would have done this.
Wait, why'd you put 6019?
Oh, because I transliterated. I was typing that by hand.
I thought that was like
No,
weird.
I was typing that right when Sebastian was bouncing around and doing all kinds of stuff, and I got distracted. You've got the 6000 series of movements, late 60s up to the end of the 70s. They had the 6000, they had a 6001. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows the 6119, the 6106s. The difference being 6119 is higher jewel count in the later version in the C's.
What do you have more of? The 6106 or the 6119? You have a billion of them.
I have so many of both. Basically, 6119 is more luxo. It doesn't have hacking, but it has more jewels. 6106 has fewer jewels, but it has hacking, which makes it a little more sporty. The 6109, for some reason, is a 6106 that doesn't hack. I have no idea why. They were only sold in a few models, like near in the mid to, I think it's really actually, they only made them for like maybe a year and a half, maybe even less than that, and they sold them like only in like Singapore. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, and it was towards the end of the run. I mean, maybe they just ran out of hacking levers, and they were like, why don't we just rename this thing 6109? We'll come up with some stuff. Hey, they've done it, man. The 6309, the 63, no, it's the 6139 6007 was an example of that. It was just a catch-all. Let's use the extra parts model that was only sold for a few months, only in Mexico for some reason.
I wonder why.
They were just using up parts.
Yeah, but why was it only sold in Mexico?
I don't know. My theory is they just had to use up all this extra crap, and they chose a market that wasn't going to be more widely. I'm just guessing. These are all just. I'm just throwing science at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Okay, next is the 6217-8001 video. Okay, Mr. Crow Bossoneros. At the 37-minute mark.
Oh, this is a pretty long one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing this. Now, tell me to stop if you hear a question.
Okay, I will. So this can be a long one, long questions. So if you want to pause and go get a bag of bugles.
Do they still make them?
Well, they don't. They don't make bugles?
I don't know. I hate them.
Well, they're that awful corn snack
Yeah.
flavor, but you could put them on your fingers.
Yes, it's true.
Okay. This is a long question, so here we go.
Okay. Hang on, one yawn. Okay. I did some research into early skin diver watches of the 1950s and 1960s. I found out that back in the 1960s, this H-shaped case design was very popular, and almost every watch brand was making a watch that looked similar to Seiko 62 MAS.
I like calling it the H case. That's very descriptive, and it's a good visual. So that's good. I don't know if you came up with it, but that's good.
Here are a few of those watches I easily found on the internet in a short time.
So wait, these are like a list of watches that all use this H case style. Mm-hmm. Okay.
1964 Gents Accurus 600 Sears Tradition Vantage Skin Diver Hamilton Sublabel Techno Skydiver Sylvana Arta 200 meter Smith's Astral Diver Lanco Barracuda 1960 Skin Diver Wittenauer and Elchin Avalon Skin Diver Helbros Skin Diver Jacquet Draws I don't know. Is that French?
What do I know? I'm not reading it.
Jacket Draws.
Let me.
Right there.
Jacquet Draws. I don't know. What do I know?
Jacket Draws. Osam Super Squale Supermatic 200 and many, many others.
Including the Arlie.
I was waiting for that to be listed.
No,
on
it
here.
wasn't popped up there. My Arlie sub 007 is that.
Some of them look very similar to Seiko. Some of them are not as beautiful as Seiko. Some of them look better or more interesting than Seiko. And some of them look more like real tool watches than Seiko. But they all have similar case design. Are you going to talk?
Well, I can. I was like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. If you've got something in that HK style, thank you again for that. That's very descriptive. I'd like to see it because I think the Seiko 62 MAS design is really nice, really clean, not cluttered, balanced, harmonious. Even the Citizen Parawaters of that same era, the dials are a little cluttered for me. I'm sorry, go on.
The most surprising thing I found out was that Citizen Jet Parawater from 1962 was the first Japanese diver prior to the much more well-known Seiko MAS. Citizen was a beautiful watch and to me looks better than Seiko. Citizen looks like a real tool watch and Seiko is more like everyday sport watch. Original diver watches from that period and modern reissues of those watches are my favorite and most beautiful watches. I own a Seiko SPB 053, also known as the SBDC 053.
Yeah.
A modern interpretation of the 62 MAS with a blue dial. For me, one of the most beautiful diver watches ever made. I love Seiko, and if I had the opportunity, I would definitely buy one of those limited edition 62 MAS recreation watches. When it comes to early diver watches of the 50s and 60s, no one could hold a candle to Rolex and Tudor. Absolutely nobody, and especially Seiko couldn't. Beautiful and useless Seiko.
That last part, I kind of feel almost was a Chat GPT thing. I don't know.
Beautiful and useless.
Beautiful and useless Seiko. And early 60s, yes, of course, the Rolex and Omega owned the diver market. I 100% agree. Things did change later on, though.
Okay. The overdue review about the Redune.
Oh, yeah, the Redune. This is one when Verdant first came out with their recreation of the Slim 6105 8000, and I had some strong opinions then about how Seiko refuses to recreate any of their best models. And so, yeah, I talked about that watch, and apparently inadvertently sparked a huge burst of business for them.
You know, they didn't offer him anything.
I got nothing for it. They didn't even thank me for it.
And then they wanted you to do a review on another one.
On the next one, they were like, "We'd like to have you review this next one," and I'm like, "Well, you never even thanked me for the last one." Like they had to put in new batch orders like 5 times.
Wow.
But you know what? They still never thanked me. And once I said, "Well, basically, what's in it for me?" they stopped talking to me completely. Oh well, whatever.
Anyway.
Maybe I'm not worth the money.
Of course you are.
Well, that's sweet.
From Luke Mossy, I don't know. I've got the gray version of this watch and have used it every day kayaking for years. When I wash it under the tap with some soap and give it a brush, it looks basically new, still keeps perfect time, no visible scratches as the case is sandblasted and the sapphire crystal is still perfect. Probably the best low-cost dive watch you can buy. This sounds like an ad.
It could be, but you know, that kind of information's important, you know?
I trust no one.
Well, you know, back in the day when everybody, you know, new watch person would come onto the watch forums, I want to get my first automatic watch. Got to be rugged, you know, maybe some more. Everybody, even people who were not Seiko fans would say, you got to get a 007. I remember one guy, he was like Rolex and Omega only and kind of a snob, but he's like, I got to admit, there's kind of no way to beat it at that price level for what you're getting.
Well, anywho, why did I scroll down so much? There we go. How I clean and recondition old leather straps video. From Boyd Sargent 7496. Hi, nice couple of videos. How did you clean the strap? Firstly, just water with soap or washing up liquid?
Oh, I just like hand soap, liquid hand soap. Nothing major. I mean, if you want to go nuts, you could use like I've used Dr. Bronner's in the past because it's a thinner soap and it's beautiful stuff and it penetrates well. I just didn't care enough to go and find some, though we have it in the house. Any kind of light soap. And you just work it through with warm water, so you got the soap and everything going. Yeah, I know it's freezing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of
seriously, it's just like a San Francisco summer. I'm not kidding.
I believe you.
It's like I keep getting fragments of, oh yeah, tomorrow's Saturday, you know, and I think about my scooter. I haven't owned a scooter in 25 years, but I am freezing.
Okay.
Wait, I never answered the question.
It was something, how do you clean the things?
Anyway, that's it. You just use a light soap, then in the same sink of just warm water, even room temperature, just work it out till the soap is gone, until it looks all clean, and then dry it off, pat it dry, and then slather it with Bacard's or your leather care solution of choice, and leave it for a couple, 3 days. The water will be gone, be replaced by the gooey stuff, and then you clean off the extra and you get on with life.
Anyway.
I'm listening. I'm going to go close that door.
Still on wait, they can see our messiness. Okay. From Conair Nick. So, did I say Con? Because Conair is a blow dryer company.
I would assume he's Irish. And
yeah, I know.
Connor. I would think Connor.
I don't know.
I mean, I've known about my own Irish heritage for about 3 months, so I think I'm qualified to say that it's probably Connor.
Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. I know you're a Seiko man mainly, but have you ever owned or held a Porsche design chronograph 1 by Orfina? I picked up a black powder coated one recently and it's a lovely watch. I'd love to see you do a video on it sometime soon. Love to you and the family.
I'm happy to do a video on that. After your question, I didn't actually know almost anything about this stuff. And I learned a bunch of stuff because of your question. that kind of actually rotates around one of my own favorite watches.
Wait, but is it Porsche the car? Or?
Yeah. Because, okay, so there was this guy. Porsche is like a family business. There was this Porsche, the elder Porsche dude died off. His son or something took over, and the son, for some reason, fired all of his family members to working there. The fellow who designed this watch for Porsche, it was called Porsche because his last name was Porsche, but he's the guy that designed the 911. The guy that designed the 911 was fired. And so he created this new watch, this Porsche watch, around a movement which was then brand new, Valju 7750. And he created this, basically the entire layout of the Heuer Pasadena, which is also the poor man's Heuer Pasadena, the one, my gray watch. Exact same. He designed that. It's a, what's his name? He's got some kind of nickname, but Porsche designed that stuff. So that is basically it's a Porsche design. The whole thing. It just got ripped off by Heuer, and then not ripped off by Lejour. Lejour just paid Heuer to make watches for him, but yeah. So anyway, I learned a lot about that one. I'm very happy to make a video. I'll actually make a separate one just with my laptop. And I'll do that as a separate video. But some cool stuff. Thank you. Wait, why was I going to turn that off?
Frick if I know.
I don't either. Oh, because I was originally going to do a segment.
Oh.
I mean, I could do a segment.
No, make a separate video.
I'll make a separate video.
Okay, next one. 6139 6015 restoration. From Richard Overby. Hello, I know this video is a couple of years on now, but I am very curious of recommendations to get mine restored. I have one that I got many years back that I would love to restore at some point. The only thing wrong with it, and I can tell is one of the buttons being stuck. Appreciate the very detailed videos. It's pretty amazing to see how much detail goes into these.
Yeah, they were pretty nicely done. Sticking button always kind of, actually, I'm like, because a sticking button is when it's original buttons and the rubber's hardened up. So when you have sticking buttons in a clearly unrestored watch, then that means it's original. As for getting service, I mean, obviously I do servicing, but I only take 3 watches a month, maybe 4. We get more requests than that for service. So what I do is we have on our website, kleinvintagewatch.com, there's a sign-up newsletter you can sign up with. We don't sell any of that information. We
don't send out newsletters.
Right. The only reason we have it is so we can tell people, hey, we've got a couple servicing slots open or whatever. That's the best way.
Actually, the even better way is to go to the listing that is still there, but there's none available, and then you click bunk, and it says add to wait list rather than buy. So I think actually I took away the newsletter thing.
Oh, good. Great.
So do that.
Do what?
That.
Oh, I understand. I thought she was telling me to turn the phone off. That's fantastic. It never would have occurred to me. That is awesome.
And the last time I did that, I did it out of curiosity to see how quickly it would take, and I'm impatient, so I was starting to make my Instagram post, and then somebody bought both slots.
That's true.
Okay.
Yep. That was the 778 job, I believe.
Was it? No, I don't. No, I don't remember.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It's the True Pogue and the
Moon phase?
No. It's
World time?
Yeah, it's world time. Yay, good job. Good job. I mean, that sounds, I'm sorry, that sounds
like you're talking to the dog.
I know, and it's really condescending. I'm so sorry. I should say, I am impressed. Is that okay?
That's okay.
I am impressed.
I said moon phase because the next question is from a moon phase video.
Okay.
Hang on. Oh, sorry. Okay. What if 4502? Hello, good sir. I found one of these without box and papers in my local watch store for a reasonable price. I am considering a purchase. Any recommendations for me to spot a difference with an original and a fake one?
There is no fake. They don't exist. Period. They literally, they don't exist. There's no point in making a fake of them, because you can get the originals for not, relatively speaking, what it would cost to recreate the darn thing. So don't worry about it. I'm sure it's original. The main thing to look at is to look under the crystal and see how bright and clean it is.
That doesn't mean you have to take the crystal off.
No. Just look through it. Even if the crystal's hammered, look through ignore the dirty scratch crystal if it has one, and just look at the brightness, because it's going to have gold highlights. The dials are actually white enamel. They're enamel dials, which not a lot of people know. Seiko did that specifically to sort of harken back to the older ages of horology when all of the dials were enameled. Not many people know that one. Just look and see if it's clean. Look if the black paint on the hands is sharp and it's not like, it's sort of faded or weird. You'll see it. And if it's, everything else depends on the price. I personally wouldn't pay more than, well, it depends on the price.
Watch your Parology 1.01.
This is the video.
From Valentech Time. This video gave me another chance of using vintage K&D winder. 2 things I've learned from your video: that I can regulate the width of the compartment to adapt different mainspring widths, and also how to keep the bridle of the spring from jumping out of the opening. These tricks brought me back to the usage of K&D for Seiko springs. Great video. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. I'm glad that that video was helpful. They're a pain in the butt. They can be really, really annoying to do. In the K&D, the thing is, a lot of it is like, it's down to your touch. Because when you're holding it with the one hand, you're also pulling it into your palm, which compresses the plunger to the width that you need for doing the mainspring. And it's easy to go over it. So it's just, you just gotta get that touch. But thank you so much for taking the time to tell me that my tips were useful.
The 7002 one owner watch. Keith McLean 3627. My 7002 is my favorite. I have a 7S36, but the older version outperforms it in every way.
Oh, yeah.
The faded loom pip at 12 is a delight and makes me wonder at the life this old girl lived before it came to me. Thanks, Spencer. Loving the content.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, the 7002's, I wish I knew what it was. I keep thinking to myself, that's silly. The only thing different between the 7002 and any of the 7000 series watches is that the 7002 has a day wheel that puts the date at 3 and the crown at 4. But there is something about those 7002 movements. There's just something about them. And 7002s are still undervalued. I think they're still undervalued. It's hard to get one that's really clean and original. There's a lot of them out there now with junk parts, but if you find a good one, real good one, something to think about.
The cocktail time.
On the OG cocktail time, like 8305-1000.
9000.
9000. There is also a 1000.
1996 Horst. Hardly ever find these. Been searching for almost a month now, and whenever you find one, even non-running, the person owning it won't sell. Maybe I am looking in the wrong places. Found an 8305 recently for around 150, looking to be in decent shape.
I did not know that they were hard to find. I didn't. I did all this stuff with the OG cocktail time like maybe even like 2 months ago, maybe even more. And I had all the stuff left over from making that video and thinking about those watches, and I just couldn't ever get around to it. I boxed it up in containers, and I haven't done a thing with it. In fact, I'd forgotten about it. So I actually think I'll pull that back out and reorganize it. So thank you for that question, and thank you for letting me know that they are not common. Because, I thought because I had like 4 or 5 that everybody else did. Seriously, that's what I thought of. I'm like, how uncommon can they be? I've got like 5 of them.
Well, yeah, but most people don't get them in pieces or junky like you. They get like...
Oh, yeah, and they haven't been like scrabbling around in eBay 20 years ago.
Yes. Let's look at an unrestored one owner 6105. Keith McLean 3627. Agree on all points. Until Seiko understands its fans, I'll be happy with my old 7002, which brings more joy than any new offering from them ever will.
Yeah, I mean, the answer's simple. Everyone knows it. Children all across the globe know it. Things that live in the bottom of ponds know it. But the Seiko executives don't. Or they don't want to.
Anyway, that was it for questions.
Well, okay, it's a good weekend, and we've come to the end of it, and I'm not going to buy a 1993 Ford Mustang Fox Body 5.0, even though it was running, and it's one of the colors that I liked, and it seemed to be in pretty good condition, and they're going up in value, but I'm not gonna get that one because it doesn't have the sunroof, which is what I want. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
Okay.
All right, I would love to buy that thing, and I feel bad for that dude, but if it didn't have the sunroof, I'd be annoyed.
Okay. Well, we said we were gonna tell them our tale of woe.
Oh yeah. Well, let's stop, and then I'll start, and this will be the tale of woe.
Okay.
Okay. So, if you don't want to hear anything about more watch stuff, well, we're not going to have any more, but we are going to dish family drama.
I don't even know where to start. I have to give like a mini review of I came from a horribly abusive family. My mother is terrible. My father is terrible. But this is specifically about my mother.
Or your mother's mother.
Well, no. Yes, my mother's mother. We went to go visit my Mima. That is grandma in Southern. I'm not from the South. I did not give her that name. Anyway, she lives in Florida in what was her Aunt Ruth's house. She's 87. And my aunt has been watching her for going back and forth between New York and Florida.
And she was a little fuzzy, but very
Not
much
my
herself.
aunt, my Mima.
Yeah, the Mima. Before,
and then her dog died. And everybody always said, oh, we gotta hope that Mima goes before the dog, because she'll go right after the dog. She's still alive now.
5 months later.
What?
5 months later?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. That's what she said. I mean,
I was told that her memory was a little worse. It was full-blown dementia.
Oh, yeah. Like at a certain point when I realized with sort of a cold shock, like how more serious it was than we had been told.
Mm-hmm. Like, she would religiously watch her soaps in the early afternoon, and she didn't do it once. And it was like she had me point out everybody in a picture and ask me if I knew who everyone was, but I think that's because she couldn't remember who people were, and she asked me if I knew my uncle.
Yeah, have you ever met Glenn, her uncle? Oh, yeah, and it's like, and I guess dementia messes with your sleeping schedule, so she was awake before we were, and went to bed after we did, and she just wanted to talk, which is fine.
She kept talking about my mother, who it won't talk to Mima, and said she'll never see her again until she's dead.
Because she's not real fond of her.
No, well, whatever. And so I had to hear about my mother again, and again, and again. And my father.
Oh, yeah.
Again, and again.
And she came up to me once. Now, Mima, we love, she's great.
She's so super sweet.
She's super sweet. She's a great lady. So we're not making fun of her at all. So she came, I was wondering if it was going to hail. That's the one thing I'm waiting for.
I don't know.
I don't think it's that big of a cloudburst, but we'll see. Anyway, but at a certain point, she pulled me aside. Spencer, I'd like to have a little word with you in private. okay, whatever. So I was like, what is she going to tell me? She sits me down and she talks about how she understands why it was that we agreed to ban her mother from our house. And so I listened to her, and she talked and she talked, and she said her thing, and then she just started drifting off, which is fine. We had a nice long talk, but then I explained myself with your mother, and then it was all done. And then later on, she said, Spencer, you have some time? I'd like to have a private word with you. And I'm like, she forgot the entire thing. So, I mean, I just was like, wow.
Yeah, and it was, she, even before the dementia, she talked a lot, but this was like,
We never got a break.
and because we had the kids with us, it was so nice seeing her, and I'm really happy that we had the opportunity. It was just pretty stressful. Ooh, did I get something from
Is something
Amazon?
coming from Amazon?
Whoa.
I don't remember buying anything. She's a super sweet lady. She's just great. She's so funny. The very first time I met her, very shortly after we got married, I don't know why she took to me right away. And I'm very grateful, and I still don't know how that happened, but she took to me right away, as did her husband, Peepaw, the terrifying tyrant of the family. He thought I was pretty okay. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so first time I ever met her, she launches into this story about how much she hates her grandmother, to the point of telling me stories that she was so angry she was told that she was walking up and down the street, screaming, waving her arms, and she was so angry she had blacked out.
Yeah, but that didn't have to do with my grandmother.
No, but she was talking about Joseph. Any case, no, it was all part of anything. I hadn't sat with the woman hadn't met her for, literally, she had just met me.
Yeah.
And she was totally coherent. Interestingly, it was Mima. I have to give her some credit for, she's got to be perceptive, because she met my mom.
It was awful.
My mother was, people say this, my mother was malignant narcissist, like really, really bad person. But anyway, the first time, only time.
Well, what happened is I was being nice and talking to my mother, and she, because she's one of those crazy Disney people, wanted us to go to Disney. So Sadie and I went, and I mentioned it to his parents, who were still around then.
And they never met each
They
other.
never met my mother, and his dad was like, we'll go there and we'll meet.
No, this is it. They're not going to get away from us. We're going to meet them.
I was like, oh
They
no.
invited themselves.
Yeah, they didn't. Well, he did.
My dad was a cheerful guy.
Yeah, no, Mima liked him, but so Mima lives on a country club, and there's a club there where you can get food and brunch and whatever.
Right, you got to be properly dressed,
Yeah.
as we were told numerous times.
Whatever. Anyway, so I'm there with Sadie, Mima, my mother, and her husband. And then there's his mom next to me, and his dad was next to me, and they were talking okay, and I was drinking mimosas, bottomless mimosas. And then when they finish eating, his mom just stands up and says, okay, gotta
It's
go.
time to go.
It's time to go.
Because that's what mom would do. If you didn't have any more utility for her, you needed to go. And it didn't matter who you were. And if you couldn't go, she was going.
Yep.
And that's the way she is.
And Mima was like, I don't like that woman.
Oh, and when she told me that, because I knew all the stories about Josephine, her other grandmother, I heard all those stories, so I'm like, Josephine, by all accounts, was an incredibly terrible person, well up on the scale along with my mother. And I'm like, and she saw through my mother right away. And
Instantly.
I'm like, this was a long time ago, but it started a thought in my head. I'm like, maybe my mom isn't a nice person. Maybe she's been acting. And the next, it sat in the thing. But she's the one that really put it to me.
So she's still alive and kicking so far.
She's herself.
Yeah, she's herself. She's still cheerful. Her memory's bad. She doesn't drive, thankfully. And I don't know. It's sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
I didn't get enough time with her because of my a-hole parents lying to everybody. But anyway, so that's where we were. First, we missed 2 weeks ago because the choosing with
Yeah.
his family.
All
was
this stuff,
happening.
all this family stuff has been coming to this crazy head. All this insanity for anybody, none of you who have been watching these earlier videos, all this crap with my mom and her estate and my horrible siblings who are all abusive. But it's done. The things that were in the house have been split up. And we totally threw a bomb into the middle of everything they were trying to do. But it's done. And it was done that weekend. I didn't have time to make a video. We were going to Florida.
Yep, and well, no, and then the next week we were
In Florida.
And now we're home where, the pets are happy to have us.
Yeah, but it's just like, believe it or not, we're really serious introverts. And we were in a situation where there was literally no escape. And you couldn't just walk away.
Exactly, and I mean, we normally, if somebody was like, okay, we're gonna go do whatever, do you want to come? And she'd be like, no. And she wanted to come to everything.
Every single thing.
But the only quote unquote issue is she just walks away. So we're busy having to mind 3 kids.
Yeah.
And my Mima, and it
Right.
was just,
So we were trading off. Who has the kids, who has Mima, who's got the kids. So we were walking around an entire zoo, and I barely remember seeing anything. I saw more wildlife out of her backsliding door.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a wood stork. He would come because she throws all this food at the back.
Because she doesn't have the dog to throw the food at anymore.
Yeah, but this wood stork would come right up to the back door, utterly tame. You could go out there. You want to talk about dinosaurs? Damn, I've never been that close to one. They clearly are not fuzzy and huggable, but they have these long beaks and they go cluck, cluck, cluck. What's that sound? It's like this weird hollow pump, 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 pump. But he liked chicken.
And we're well aware that wildlife should not be fed, especially not in a country club where other people will be sad. But you tried telling my Mima that, so I don't know. I guess we didn't make it seem as dramatic as it was. It was just really stressful.
It was hard to live through.
Yeah, like with my other grandmother that Mima hated, Josephine, I was involved with the elder care of her, and that was tough, but she didn't have dementia, so anybody...
Also, she wasn't likable.
Well, no, she wasn't likable, but I just want to say anybody that has or had people that they in their lives with dementia and they took care of them, I'd do it if I had to, but I can't even imagine how hard it is.
Yeah, it's a hard job. Hard job. So I'm glad it's done. I've sort of come around to it being... I understand it now that the core of the weird, otherworldly horror and draining energy draining weirdness of being down there was down to the fact that she would never stop talking, and that she was up before we were awake and asleep after we went to bed, and she wanted to be in on everything, and she wanted to talk constantly, and it was exhausting. Mm-hmm. But again, that's just us being selfish. She's a very nice lady. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but we're home. We're good. We went to Sebastian Beach. We found, as I said, a bunch of rocks. I have a whole thing of sand from Sebastian Beach, which I think is neat. We saw a wood stork, which we got to feed.
We saw dolphins.
We did see dolphins.
The manatees were busy.
I saw a stingray briefly through the water. Mm-hmm. I saw what a police boat looks like. Mm-hmm. I saw what happens when you get a bunch of late 20s, early 30s something Floridians in a boat on a holiday weekend.
Oh.
And they had fun with that. Woo! Saw a Disney cruise ship. I was like, God. Any case, it's Friday. It's going to be a great weekend. All kinds of cool stuff to do. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you folks for watching. Mm-hmm. Bye.